In August 2021, Jake Davison strolled the streets of Plymouth, killing his victims at random.
This is the moment killer Jack Davison casually walked across a Plymouth street towards his final victim. Moments after shooting dead a 3-year-old girl and 3 others.
Leaving home after killing his mother with a loaded shotgun he should never have had.
The CCTV footage emerged as it was revealed that police had returned his shotgun to him last month after confiscating it in December last year, following an accusation of assault for which Davison was allegedly given an anger management course. Davison's shooting spree left 5 people dead apart from himself and was Britain's first in-cell mass shooting, named after a violent online subculture of involuntary celibates whose members defined themselves by their inability to find a sexual partner. In the video obtained by ITV News and captured on a quiet street, the 22-year-old Insolman is seen during his killing spree, his pump-action shotgun hanging by his side. Minutes earlier, he had murdered his own cancer survivor, Mother Maxine, at her home nearby before going outside and randomly killing 3-year-old Sophie Martin and her father Lee, 43. Sophie was pushing a toy bra up the street accompanied by her adoptive father Lee, who was shot in the back when he tried to protect his daughter. The pair who tried to run away were then shot at least twice more at close range, killing them instantly. Davison is said to have hovered over their bodies for a moment after slaughtering them, before carrying on down the road. One witness said a man was running with his little girl who was pushing a toy pram as she ran. There was no noise or screaming. They were just running. This bloke with the gun stopped about 15 feet from them, raised his gun to his shoulder and shot the man in the back. He fell onto his daughter, protecting her even though he may have been dying. Speaking of Davison, the witness said he walked up and stood over them and fired from inches away to finish them off. It looked like first he shot the man in the head, then through the body, and I think that shot went through and killed the child. Davison then named and shot at 2 locals named by family members as Ben Parsonage, 33, and his mother, Michelle, 53, who had gone out to help the earlier victims. Both received significant injuries but survived Davis and then walked out of the cul-de-sac down a path, telling a stunned resident nothing to worry about. Mate, before shooting dog walker, Stephen Washington, 59. One witness said, I went up there to see if I could help and there was a bloke lying on the grass face down. He was obviously dead and his 2 dogs were running free. The video shows Davison at this point. He is then seen walking past a house and crosses the road in the direction of Blush Hair Salon, where he will fatally shoot Kate Shepard, 66, his 5th victim. This is where the footage ends. A witness to E.M. Shepard's murder said she was shot without a word from Davison as she was smoking a cigarette outside the salon. A 16-year-old boy who was walking to a supermarket when he saw the murder said she fell to the floor and he just carried on walking. He didn't say anything to her. I don't know if she worked at the salon or not. A man in a hoodie arrived and held his hands over her stomach wounds. I couldn't believe what I saw. Seconds later, Davison turned the gun on himself to Firearms. Police can reach him. Sophie and Lee were rushed to nearby Darford Hospital where Lee's wife works, but both passed away despite the medics' best efforts. Tributes have flooded in for the Martins who lost their lives during a 6-minute scene of carnage as it was revealed. Sophie was adopted by Lee and his partner. 2 years earlier, one friend said in tribute, "You are such a kind, selfless gentleman who put everyone else before yourself. We have shared many memories together. I will never forget the things in life you have done for me." Another wrote, "I am totally distraught that a good friend's brother and niece have been taken in such a horrific way. My heart is breaking for my friend and his family at this very, very sad news. Deepest and sincerest condolences to all the deceased and hope those injured make a speedy recovery." Neighbors said penultimate victim. Mr. Washington was out walking his 2 pet huskies along a tree-lined path close to the Davison family home when he was shot by the killer. Mike Moore, who lives nearby, said both the dogs ran back to Stephen's home and that's when the family became concerned. Stephen was well known around here because he was always out with his beautiful dogs. He wasn't friends with Jake and there's nothing connecting them, so we think it was completely random. Within 6 minutes, officers, some armed only with days, had raced to the scene of the carnage, but they were too late to save the victims whose blooded bodies lay in the street. Davison's body was found 12 minutes after the shooting began. Yesterday, police and social services were facing questions about whether Britain's worst mass shooting for more than a decade could have been prevented. Last night, the independent office where police conduct launched an investigation into Devon and Cornwall Police's decision-making in relation to Davison's possession of a shotgun and shotgun certificate. IF Regional Director David Ford said that probe will look at what police actions were taken and when the rationale behind police decision-making and whether relevant law, policy, and procedures were followed. The killer's shotgun and certificate were removed by police in December, some 3 months after an allegation of assault in September 2020. He is said to have had a round with 2 youths, which was reported to police, to whom he was already known. A family friend also claimed yesterday that Davison had assaulted his own father. His weapon, which is legal in the UK for sports such as clay pigeon shooting if a license is obtained, was then returned in early July. Within hours of the carnage, a disturbing series of YouTube videos emerged in which Davison, under the username Professor Waffle, fantasized about being the Terminator from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. He also spoke of his belief in the black belt philosophy of the CEL community, a fatalistic and misogynistic worldview that your position in life cannot change. His family had desperately applied for professional help with Davison's DHD, according to a close family friend, with the gunman being described as introverted and a troubled soul. The friend told The Telegraph, "Jake was always very quiet growing up, almost introverted. He was a troubled soul. He got into guns, and he knew everything there was to know about them." Maxine and JQS. To be close, you'd always see him helping her with the shopping act. Lied low the road. But then his views changed and he went against women and he became misogynist. They clashed a lot about that self-described effing fat, ugly, virgin, and bodybuilder Jake Davis, and was described as having a pump-action shotgun. The weapons are legal in the UK, but only as long as they have a fixed magazine capacity of no more than 3 cartridges and a valid shotgun certificate. The murders came 22 days after he was bragging online about the UK having more guns. You think in a post about US-style mass shootings. Davison also described his fascination with previous atrocities, including the Hungerford Massacre in 1987, one of the worst UK gun attacks in history where an unemployed former labourist shot dead. The senior police officer said the weapon used in the Plymouth shooting was described as a pump-action shotgun and confirmed a firearm had been recovered from the scene. Mr. Sawyer said police would look at Davison's social media output as part of the investigation. He said, "This is an extraordinarily unusual response by a fellow human being. Whether there were mental health issues, I cannot say at this time." He said most witnesses were shocked at what was unfolding before them, but said there was no evidence to suggest Davison was saying anything as he carried out his atrocity. Police investigating the Plymouth shootings raided the gunman's father's flat on Thursday. Armed officers forced their way into the home of Mark Davison, about a mile from where his son Jake killed 5 people before turning the gun on himself. Mr. Davison was not in at the time, according to a neighbor, but returned later in the evening and spoke to detectives. He was being comforted by one of his other sons this afternoon and declined to comment about the tragedy. If you did, make sure like and subscribe to our channel for future updates. See you in the next video.